Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ben from JBM Sports Media and JV. We are here to give you guys our NBA trade deadline predictions. Yes, the time has come. The trade deadline is 2 days away. We are extremely excited about it. And obviously, before we get into it, we got to go over some of the rumors that's been going on. Obviously, a lot of Giannis rumors. I mean, there's been rumors about Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Lakers this, LeBron that. So we got to get into all that right now, starting off with obviously the man of the hour, the man that's going to dictate this trade deadline. I mean, extravagantly. And I'm talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, my guy right here. And we got to get to this report right here, and I'll get JV's opinion right off the bat. The Bucks this past weekend have submitted counter offers to multiple aggressive offers for Giannis per Shams Charania. I mean, look, I know when Shams is talking about Giannis, he's been a little bit hit or miss when it comes to reporting about Giannis, but it does look like the Bucks are right here entertaining these offers and actually submitting counter offers. JV, what do you think about this right here?
Listen, obviously to me, it's something that's heated up over the last 2 weeks. It's something. This is a potential trade. I think that about a month ago, me and you would have said would have taken place probably in the summer during the offseason. But now this looks like it may come to fruition a little bit quicker, rather than later. So me personally, I think if a trade happens, it's going to be in the next 24 hours. I really do see it happening within a day or two. And I really think that the Warriors have made the strongest push for Giannis, and I think that he fits best there. Going up with Steph Curry, I think it would be a crazy trade. I think that they've offered. I think if correct me if I'm wrong, it's been 5 first-round picks. So I mean that they may do it. I honestly like that. But you listen. What is it going to take? I know it's going to take a lot from some team to have to make that acquisition right now, but I think the time has come. I don't see Milwaukee wanting to drag this out any further, and I don't think Giannis really has interest in dragging this out any further. And I think he'd rather take a deal to get traded now rather than wait in the summer. So yeah, I see this happening. I really do see this happening, and my pick is that he actually goes to the Warriors. I know that Minnesota was making a push for him as well. Earlier today, I had seen reports that Minnesota was interested, and they were trying to get into the mix. But I do see him go to Golden State, and I think the buck stops here, if you will.
Yeah, JV spoiling one of his picks from later today in this video right here. But look, I see it like this. Yes, the Bucks have to entertain these offers, no matter which way you look at it. Submitting counter offers, seeing as much as you can get. If that is 5 first-round picks, I mean, some including pick swaps, obviously, then obviously I would be okay with that because post Curry, I don't know if Giannis technically will be entering free agency. Will he sign an extension with the Warriors or will he move on? I mean, that's something we'll have to look at when the time comes. But yeah, I would be very interested in 5 first-round picks from the Warriors, especially if it's like at that point lottery picks we're talking about. Yeah, I would be 100% down with that. I think the Bucks are doing their due diligence right here throughout this process, and I think it's perfectly fine. I'll talk about my Giannis prediction a little bit later. I know you guys are kind of waiting for that one. But actually, I would like to bring this up per Ramona Shelburne. She said if the Bucks do not trade Giannis before the deadline, then there is expected to be tension if the Bucks try to make him sit out. And I actually do believe this. I do believe this to an extent because I will say this. If Giannis does not get traded, there's a good chance he's going to want to go back and hoop for the Bucks, at least to finish off his tenure. In March, he's only out for 4 to 6 weeks, meaning he would be back in March. He would be playing a little bit of basketball. But if the Bucks come to him and Horse is all like, look, we want you to sit out. We do have a good chance of getting maybe a top 7, top 8 pick in this draft. And I think it would help us in our future, even to an extent. Maybe I wouldn't say, the Giannis to keeping him in Milwaukee, that door is fully shut. Maybe that pick, we could trade it, then bring another piece. So would that be a thing Giannis would be interested in? Who knows at this point? I do believe he's more tapped out than tapped in. So I don't know. I do believe something like this would happen though, if there would be tension.
Yeah, and that's why I say I don't think he wants to drag it out, and I think Milwaukee is going to try to do the rights by him as well and try to get him to a place where maybe I think they may actually communicate about where the best deal is coming from and where they're going to potentially trade him before the trade even actually happens. Maybe they want his blessing to pull the trigger, if you will, on a deal, and get his okay. But like I said, and like you had just mentioned as well, I really don't see Giannis wanting this to drag out into the summer, and I don't think Milwaukee does either. I don't think the fans want to have to keep dealing with this and have to read about this and hear about how he's just going to wind up leaving, and it's just inevitable. So I think why don't you just, like you said, that door looks like it's open. Just walk through it and close it and start the future over a little bit.
Yeah, that could be a thing that, does happen before the trade deadline. If it does happen, I expect it to be a team like the Warriors or possibly even, and this is a perfect transition, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are aggressive in pursuit of Giannis and are looking for third or fourth team to approve this deal, basically improve it in the sense that they need another two teams, basically. If not, this is most likely not going to happen. Just a one-on-one team right there between T-Wolves and Bucks getting a deal done. And I actually believe that. I really do. There's not a way I would be interested in just a simple Timberwolves and Bucks, maybe a Julius Randle, DiVincenzo. I'm not really interested in that. I think there's going to be at least two teams involved right here. Maybe a 14 trade. That would be very realistic for the Timberwolves because just a one-on-one team deal doesn't get it done for Giannis.
No, and like you said, I think it would actually take a four-team swing in order for a deal like this, to actually go through. So, obviously, yeah, the Timberwolves are maybe trying to drive up the price right now, and they're obviously trying to make a splash, but I don't see that happening. I really don't. I actually see Portland as a team that could actually make a splash and obtain his services and give up some young, some draft capital, and they could build around Giannis. But again, a place maybe he might not want to go to because they're not win ready. Maybe Giannis is interested in going to a team that's win ready. Like I said, I personally think the Bucks are going to be working with Giannis behind the scenes, one-on-one, and try to get the best package for the organization while going to a team that could contend.
Yeah, that could be very realistic. I will point out this Miami Heat offer right here because there's been rumblings of the Miami Heat being involved for Giannis. Khalil Ware, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, which I don't even know if his contract is tradable. I think we'll just find out if it's, presented on the table because the NBA could void that with this ongoing situation. Another young player, maybe Kasper Giacotonis, a 2030 first-round pick, a 2032 first-round pick, and possibly a first-round pick swaps in 2026, 29, 2031. This would be something I'm very interested in. I'm not going to lie. I'm very high on Khalil Ware. I think he could be a good starting center in this league. And Tyler Hero already got the Wisconsin roots. I would love to see Tyler Hero as a Buck because when he's an all-star caliber player, he's averaging 26, 27. He does have his injury concerns, obviously. And whether another young player is Kasper Giacotonis or Jaime Jaquez, whichever one it is, I actually wouldn't mind a trade like this at all. Because if you look at taking these pieces away from the Miami Heat and then putting Giannis in there, and I don't know if you want to add Kyle Kuzma to the trade, but I mean, that Heat team depletes, and it will basically be like Norman Powell, Giannis, and Bam. And that's pretty much it. Like, no disrespect, but their depth depletes if they do a trade like this. I would be okay with that, me personally.
Yeah, I'm not too high on Terry Rozier, obviously being involved. Like you said, he's got a little.
Well, I don't even know if they would accept it, to be honest. Like,
yeah, listen, there's some ongoing issues, pertaining to Rozier. So, obviously with the pick swaps, that would work out beautifully for them with the 2030 to 2032 picks as well. And like you said, Ware is obviously an up-and-coming young player. Who would the other player would be that they're saying that's would be added in this trade? Not really too sure. Obviously, Hero would have to be in that deal. Maybe do you swap Rozier out for maybe another veteran on that team? I'm not too sure.
I think the contracts would have to match. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, so I'm not really too sure.
You get a third team involved.
Yeah, unless they get a third team involved that wants to help alleviate, some of the pressure there. But it'd be interesting to see what Milwaukee would ask for. But I don't think Rozier would be on the list here of a deal getting done.
We'll see. I think it would be one of those things where I guess try it, see if you could get that through, and if you could, that's okay. But if you can't, they're just gonna have to replace it or add another third team involved. So that would be interesting to see how that plays out. Really, just in general, trying to trade Rozier's contract. But let's move on to some other news before we get into predictions. They're coming, guys. Don't worry. We have Zion Williamson per Jay Cowley Hoops. All this, by the way, is from Full Court Pass on Twitter. Shout out him. He's amazing. He has amazing basketball reposts all the way through, so shout out to him. The Bulls recently checked in with the Pelicans on Zion Williamson. I do feel like this is a move I see the Bulls making. I mean, it'll keep them low-key mid for, like, the time being, and that's what they love doing. So, I mean, I'm not going to give it that much attention, but I don't know. I really don't know.
and a couple of videos we had made previously about where we had thought some players would actually go. I actually had Zion, being touted by Chicago, and my biggest thing, for that trade to work would be his availability due to injury. Honestly, if he can stay healthy,
Yeah.
if he's on the court, the guy is fantastic. He's a beast of an athlete. He's a freak of an athlete. And he could really be a difference maker, especially in the paint for Chicago. He could really wreak havoc, down low. But if he's unavailable because he's hurt all the time, then you probably give up a lot of pieces for a guy like this, and then you wind up only getting maybe 40 to 50 games a year out of him.
Right.
And he misses 30 to 35 games. So, at what point does that become successful and a good mix? With his teammates, not getting enough run. So, it's a risk right now. Zion is a risk if he's traded anywhere. To be honest with you, not just Chicago. So, I
Yeah.
think New Orleans is going to have to really figure out, a good package to land here.
I'm kind of indifferent about it. It's 50-50. If it happens, it's cool. Good for Zion, new change of scenery. If it doesn't, it's like whatever at the same time. Just this post right here by Full Court per Jake L. Fisher. The Lakers and LeBron James are ready to move on from each other. Yeah, I do believe it's something like this. I don't know if it's not trade deadline worthy. This is a summer thing. He's about to be free agent again. I honestly saw the video of him tearing up when he was in Cleveland the other day. I really think he's going to start off with Cleveland, finish it off in Cleveland. I think he's probably going to go back for 1 year. I do believe that, with all the rumors that came out, the story more so with Jeannie Buss and the Lakers front office not being a big fan of LeBron recently, talking about the ego more so. LeBron didn't like that if you saw how he responded in the post-game basically interview. I think these two are bound to move off. And, they have Luka there. It's Luka's era. And LeBron's, kind of not really fitting into that. I'm not saying he could still not do well with the team. I just think he's ready to move on, whether that would be going to Cleveland, which I think that would be really good for him. Honestly, I would love to see him go to Cleveland and finish off his career. I think that would be storytelling, but I think this is off-season worthy.
If he goes to Cleveland and they're able to keep, most of their pieces, that's a really good team. I mean, they would be a really, I would say a top 3 seed in the East at that point. That'd be pretty crazy. Imagine him, Donovan Mitchell, and Mobley, and
that
Jared
would be a
Allen.
Right there, man.
Jared Allen. That would be a nice.
I think they would probably have to trade Allen because of the luxury tax more so. I think they're still above the second apron right now. So if you want to bring LeBron, I think you trade Allen. Maybe you could get a pick or two back or something like that. But it's worth it, bro.
He's got 2 years left, LeBron.
LeBron, no, he's a free agent after this year.
Oh, it's a free agent. Okay.
Yeah, he's just been signing 1-year deals, so like he could go anywhere he wants. I think he's ready to move on and finish off his career in Cleveland. Could I see that happening?
So you would just say that Allen would get traded to another team just due to the fact that the salary would have to
that's it.
They have to cut some salary to make it work for LeBron. Okay.
Yeah, that's why they traded DeAndre Hunter as well to get the salary like a little bit underneath that second apron. They're still not underneath it.
So maybe they're starting to realize like, hey, maybe we could slot in for LeBron. Let's start getting right financially. So when the time comes,
I would love to
bring him back 1 more year. What do you think it would take for a year, like 45 to 50 million?
You know what? That would be really, really interesting. Maybe he takes a little bit of a pay cut since it is that Cleveland. From what I know, he said that past game in Cleveland, he felt it was so cool. His mom came to see him and Bronny, so maybe he takes a little bit of a pay cut and he goes to Cleveland to finish off his career. I think that would be storybook ending right there. He'll do the whole farewell.
That would be pretty crazy. Yeah,
it'll be amazing, bro. I would love to see it. I mean, if LeBron does that, that'll be great. But guys, it is time. We have been waiting for this one right here. It's time right here for our NBA trade deadline predictions. Yes, NBA trade deadline predictions. We are going to start off right here with JV's pick because technically he already put it out there. JV, I'll throw it to you real quick. JV's pick is Giannis to the Golden State Warriors before the trade deadline, meaning they get this done. Maybe a buzzer beater, who knows? And just get it done. They have to get it done. They need another partner for Steph. JV, I'll let you get into it more in depth.
Yeah, like I said, listen, I think, like I said, Giannis and the Bucks are kind of working maybe hand in hand to get a deal done. I think it's the era is over, and I don't think it's going to last into the summer. And my thing was, I believe, obviously, if you can get 4 to 5 good years of Steph Curry, I think Giannis would be intrigued by that. I also think that the Bucks would be intrigued with the package that was offered. I think Jimmy Butler would actually be in that deal as well. Maybe a Kuminga could be in that deal as well. I know his packet, his
Well, they
value
already
is.
said they're staying by Jimmy Butler. They're not trading him. They already.
Oh, they're
Mike
not going to trade
Conley
him.
Yeah, they already came
Okay,
out and said that.
and I know Kaminga's value has kind of dipped in the past couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
maybe he gets dealt. But the 5 first-round picks to me are very intriguing, and I think that the Bucks are salivating over that, and I think it would work for Giannis to go to a team that could contend and play with a guy like Steph Curry. So I just personally think that they'll get this done, and Giannis will be a warrior.
All right, fair enough. I don't mind that at all. I think there's a real chance. I mean, Brett Siegel did say if there's a team that gets it done for Giannis before the trade deadline, it will be the Golden State Warriors. I think that's pretty realistic because the Bucks love that draft capital in return. Let's get into one of my picks right here. I'm going to save the Giannis one all the way till the end, so we don't go back to back. My pick right here is that the Lakers add a 3-and-D player at the deadline to help Luka, help LeBron, and technically add some more 3-and-D. I add a 3-and-D piece to their mix because I think they need it tremendously. Whether that is a guy like Trey Murphy from the Pelicans, whether even, they could get in a 3-team deal. Possibly they get into a 3-team deal with the Timberwolves. They had a McDaniels as well. I think that would be really good. I think they need a 3-and-D player, and I think that Rob Pelinka is under a lot of pressure to get this done. I honestly really like the idea of them adding a 3-and-D player because I think that, let alone, would help them in the Western Conference competing in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to shore up their defense, and they need somebody that can maybe even handle the basketball and score in the paint for them and take some pressure off of, like you said, a guy like Luka and LeBron. And obviously, if they can get somebody who's a playmaker to go along with Luka, who obviously loves setting up plays, I think that would really work well for them, and it would bring some extra offensive and possibly defensive prowess to their their rotation.
Yeah, Trey Murphy is a name I would really like. If they do it with Austin Reeves potentially sending him over, bringing Trey Murphy, I think Trey Murphy would be the guy that I would really like becoming a Los Angeles Laker. I think that would make a lot of sense for them. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about these first two. We're going to keep it going right here. JB, I'll throw your next pick on the board right here, and that is Sabonis gets traded. Domantas Sabonis, we're talking about, Sacramento Kings center. Just give them your analysis with this one right here.
So listen, I think personally that Sacramento is going to pivot to a rebuild, and Sabonis obviously, is somebody that could garner significant assets, from a lot of teams that are in potential to contend, in both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. But I do think that there's some teams, that could actually really use his services. Toronto would be one. The Bulls and the Suns, to me, would be another. I think it would be interesting if the Bulls strike out on Zion. They could go Sabonis and maybe make that push, to secure a play-in, or maybe even jump into that top 6 seed if they could make a nice run. But him going to Toronto would be a really nice fit, I think. I think Toronto right now sits in the middle of the pack, and if they got him, he's a walking double-double. He would be a nice fit with that young core in Toronto. So watch out for Sabonis to get traded. I do think the Kings are leaning toward more of another rebuild, and I think Sabonis is, like I said, they can get the most out of him. So they get a couple of picks, maybe they get some players in return as well. I can see Sabonis getting traded in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, seems like such a Bulls move to do, even though it would be a little confusing because they do have Vucevic, and to me, I wouldn't say Vucevic and Sabonis are like the same type of player. I know Sabonis does more and facilitates more, but defensively, they're kind of the same player. I mean, offensively, they're kind of the same player as well, like more so scoring-wise. I think Vucevic does better scoring it than Sabonis, so would you want to put yourself in that hole? I think that makes sense more for the Raptors and the Bulls, but knowing the Bulls and risky moves they take and they make, I think Sabonis would be a piece where, you know what, Reinsdorf says, we're going to be mid, we're going to be mediocre no matter what. Go get Sabonis, get a first-round pick or two. Yeah, that honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls made a move like that. I do like the Raptors, so if there's a team I do like Toronto, that kind of goes to my
Toronto to me makes the most sense.
Yeah, this kind of goes to my pick right here. Kings go on a full-blown fire sale, and I'm talking about guys like DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Russell Westbrook. You already seen Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, 40-ounce bounce from there, and Sabonis. I think Sabonis would be pretty much out there. Will they take offers on a guy like Keegan Murray? Possibly. Honestly, possibly. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But yeah, I think they go on a full-blown fire sale. Russell Westbrook, who's arguably crazy in year 18, has possibly been their best player this season. I think you could get something in return for him. So just go full-blown fire sale. Westbrook, DeRozan, Sabonis, LaVine. And to the extent, if you want to take calls for Murray, and if you could get some first-round pick capital, why not? Go ahead, do it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think they're pivoting to a rebuild, and like you just alluded to, it's going to be fire sale time, I think, in Sacramento. So this all makes sense for the last 2 picks that we've had. We're on the same page in that regard. So
yeah, and right now they're currently mocked at the number 1 overall pick, which would be either Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, or Boozer. Whichever one, you can't miss with those 3. If you get top 3 pick in this upcoming draft, you guys are going to be straight. That's all I got to say. So Sacramento, full-blown fire sale, rebuild, give it all that to the Kings fans. Unfortunately, they were just at the top a few years ago. Now they're back at the bottom. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I'll throw it right here to JV's final pick, and that is the Celtics get wing help. Yeah, JV, what do you think about this? Obviously, they're right now 3rd in the Eastern Conference.
yeah, I think they're going to get they'll go out and try to get a shooter, someone that can shoot from the shoot from the outside. To help Jaylen Brown and guys like Derek White and Anthony Simons. Obviously, Peyton Pritchard is a he could light up the lamp, really quick as well. But listen, I think they go out and get a wing. I think it makes sense for them. Maybe a big body wing, someone that, like I said, could shoot the 3 and facilitate, driving to the paint. I could also see them maybe, getting some big help as well, potentially, if they strike out on getting a wing. Maybe they pivot and they go get another center or another big body, maybe a stretch 4, a power forward that can maybe shoot the perimeter from 15 to 20. But I do think they're going to focus on getting a wing help to facilitate some of their offensive issues there. If they do get an outside shooter, they're gonna have a really nice squad, and it'll be a nice fit to their rotation.
Yeah, I like this. I think at the position they're in right now, I made a little bit of a hot take while I was on the phone with JB the other day. I think this team's going to kind of fade into the second half. There was a report that came out that Tatum, he's still up in the air whether he's going to return or not this year. So if he doesn't return, you technically do have to go out there and get a wing if you guys are the 3rd place team in the Eastern Conference to add. If not, you guys are kind of going to be, I wouldn't say first round exit, but you guys are not going to make a deep playoff push. That's for sure. Especially with your starting center being an ESK.
I could agree with that, though. A potential first round exit for them if they don't make a move, that's a high possibility. Yeah. Even with them finishing in the top 3 in the East, I can see them getting bounced out in the first round.
Yeah, so if they want to go get a guy like, I don't know, maybe even Trey Murphy would be a really good addition. I think Trey Murphy is a very underrated name this upcoming trade deadline. I would be very interested to see where he ends up, if he does end up anywhere. Would they be interested in a guy like, I don't know, DeMar DeRozan? I don't think so. I think that would slow the pace of the team. Debo's style right now in the league doesn't really fit no more. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. I think he's still a 20-point per game scorer. Don't get it twisted. But is he a fit for the Celtics? Probably not. Sacramento with a LaVine? I mean, no, I don't think so. He plays more non-existent defense. I mean, my grandma, may God rest her soul, she plays better defense than Zach LaVine. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know where they pivot. Wing help, though? I thought DeAndre Hunter possibly could have been a good addition for them, even though he's been low-key ass this year. So
yeah,
I really don't know where the Celtics go, but they do need to add if they do want a chance to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So we're looking out to see what the Boston Celtics do. Maybe they go out for Sabonis, a center. I mean, he's not a wing, obviously. But...
Right, like I said, no, but like I said, I think if they strike out, that's their plan B would to go get a big, like a potential 4.
They need it.
A stretch 4 that can shoot the basketball from the perimeter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And now our last pick, my last pick. You guys are obviously waiting for this one. I know you guys are with my Bucks hat. Giannis will not get traded at this year's trade deadline. Makes a lot of sense. You guys are probably thinking, oh, he probably is coping about it. Giannis is not going to leave. Guys, I'll break it down to you guys very quickly. The Bucks are not in a rush to trade Giannis. John Horst is not. If the deal does not make sense, he's not going to pull the trigger on it. Why do it and force that trade right now at the trade deadline when you could wait and get more picks in the summer? And I think that's where he's going to pivot to, because even though there was a report that came out maybe 40, 50 minutes ago saying that Giannis, if he does get traded to the Warriors, he doesn't want to be looked at that like a number 2, how KD was when KD went to the Warriors, even though I think it's 2 different situations, free agency, getting traded, Giannis, his commitment to Milwaukee, winning a championship. two whole different situations. But I think John Horst is going to do right by Giannis. And yes, I do think it'll be a thorough process. I just think it'll be dragged into the summer more so because I don't think the Bucks want to screw around and mess themselves up for their future. I think they're thinking about their future big time right here when it comes to a return. I think it would make a lot of sense if the Heat could get another draft pick. Obviously, when it resets and we get the offseason going around, the Warriors could get another draft pick, reset, happen. Brooklyn possibly, Portland possibly. So I think we're going to wait and see how this unfolds in the summer. Do I think Giannis will play another game for the Milwaukee Bucks? Believe it or not, this might be a surprising answer. I think so. I think if he does come back and he's still on this team, past the trade deadline, I do believe he's going to play another game for the Bucks. And that's just because he's not going to want to sit out, and the Bucks cannot make him sit out. If not, that would be horrible, a horrible situation. Yeah. So my hot take, but my pick regardless, Giannis will not get traded. Hopefully I'm right about this. Like I said, because I think it's more of a process I would want to see going to the summer because we can't get screwed in a situation where we trade this guy. Be patient about it. Be calm about it. Even though Giannis might want to compete this year for a championship, kid, no matter what, it's on John Horst and the Bucks. Look, you got to understand, we're trying to think about the team as well after you're gone.
But you know what? They've been struggling all year, like to the point where it's kind of been talked about. You know, it's been dabbled about.
We got our pick, though. We got
right. It's pick. And it's like, all right, if the Bucks don't turn it around, you know, they may have to sit down and make some tough decisions. And we're coming to that point where this team is obviously not going to make the playoffs. What do? That they're starting to pick up some traction throughout the league, where they have about 5 or 6 teams trying to see what they could do to acquire his services. But if you're ownership for the Bucks, are you going to get any much more traction in the offseason? Because there's only so many teams that could help out, number one, and be involved directly in a deal for Giannis. So there's a lot of teams that may not want to get in bed with this because they may have to be the team that doesn't get Giannis, but make a deal with another team to make it work. So maybe they don't want to get involved. It's tough. So I think if they think like, hey, we're getting 5 draft picks, for example, from the Golden State Warriors, we may have to, pull the trigger on that because we don't know what's going to happen in the offseason.
Like I said, if the Warriors are the best offer right here, probably gets it done. I don't think so. I don't think they're in a rush. I think a lot of people have been kind of gaslit by a lot of these reports by Shams. It's very unfortunate, but I mean, kind of being realistic, this guy has been talking about Giannis getting traded since last summer. Very hit or miss with his reports. I'm not trying to throw shit at the guy, but we do miss Adrian Wojnarowski, especially because this guy, when he was tweeting it, he was on it. I feel like Shams hasn't really been on it with this Giannis stuff. And Giannis has to understand, look, bro, you're a top 3 player in this league. We're not just going to trade you after 1 week of saying the phone line, y'all could call us, it's open. Bro, this is going to take its time, and this is going to be a thing where we don't want to mess up our future. So, yes, do I think they're both ready to move on? Look, guys, and don't get it twisted. I think he's not going to be a Buck next year. That's for sure. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to wait and, hope something figures out by the end of the trade deadline, and it just doesn't, and you have to force something last minute.
Right.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. It doesn't make sense.
I get that. I get it. But like I said, I think if they get those picks flashed in their face, they may say, how many more picks are we going to be offered in the future? I think it's going to be about the same. I don't think they're going to get 6+ picks or 7+ picks. Maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe some crazy package gets built. But like I said, I think if they're looking at some of the offers that they have now, they could really say this may be one of the best offers that we'll get for this guy, and they may pull the trigger just to end it and not have to keep dragging this out into the summer. But it could be a 50-50 situation as well, where this does play out into the summer and there's less pressure and you could negotiate a little bit more openly.
Yeah, I mean, look, could there be a situation where a team comes out of nowhere, gives a shit ton of draft capital, Bucks have to accept?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But is there a thing where the Bucks is all like, what is this? Like, bro, this is a top 3 player in the league, and you want us to trade him for this? Yeah, no.
Right.
We're taking
I get
this in the summer. And it resets. Like I said, once it resets, you could get another draft pick in the summer, or you could get another young player via the draft. Just be patient about it. I think it's going to be a thing we're going to have to be patient about. I don't think he'll get traded, but if he does, it'll probably be to the Warriors because no other teammate. Well, the Miami Heat does make sense. It'll just be very interested with the Rozier contract. and maybe the Bucks cut him right away. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think in the comment section? Do you guys think that Giannis will be traded by the deadline, or do you think it will be an offseason matter? Let us know. JV, do you want to say anything before we wrap it up, or so?
No, I think this is going to be an interesting, next 48 hours to see how certain things play out. Obviously there's a lot of Bucks talk, but I haven't really gone into my Knicks quickly. I don't know if they're going to make a move. I think they're just going to kind of ride with what they got.
Yeah,
I think trading Cat right now is just a little unrealistic. I don't think there's much wiggle room and or suitors that want to deal with a potential deal for Cat. So, to all my Knicks fans out there watching, I don't think that the Knicks are going to be making any type of significant moves. If they make any type of move, it'll be on the low tier end.
Yeah, for the Knicks, just putting my input real quick, I don't believe they'll make a move. I think they like their group. They've been playing better basketball in the recent week. So that's a good thing to see. So if it starts meshing and the chemistry starts flowing heading into the playoffs, top 2 team in the Eastern Conference, don't mess it up. If you want to mess up the chemistry, I mean, they already saw that they're not interested or not aggressive for Giannis at the trade deadline. Right. The report already came out.
They can't make it work. They don't have what it takes to make it work anyway. Well, they would need 2 other teams.
But I don't even think they need to mess up their chemistry right now to force a trade. Because then what happens if you even do something like that and your depth is depleted? Then injuries happen. It's like, I think they're perfectly fine standing pat. I think the Thunder, maybe not the Pistons. I can see the Pistons doing something. But the Knicks, the Thunder, maybe no. I think the Nuggets are going to stand pat as well. I do believe they'll stand pat, including the Spurs. I think the Spurs, Nuggets, Knicks, and Thunder are probably going to be the main ones that stand pat and not do anything. The most aggressive contenders I probably see being teams like the Pistons, the Rockets, maybe for a point guard. In the Celtics, I guess you could call them contenders, but I'll say low-key pretenders, if I can be honest.
Does Philly make a move?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, look,
they lost Paul George
for 25 that happened with Paul George, obviously,
right,
suspended for 25. I like what they got right now. They obviously could make a move. I think Toronto, I think if they make that move that solidifies them, you can see them contending in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comment section. It's been a great NBA trade deadline prediction video. I'm most likely going to be live during the trade deadline. I think I get out of work. Yeah, I think I could do like a 3-hour live until 4 Eastern. I think it is the deadline on Thursday, February 5th. So if you guys want me to do a live, I could do one on YouTube. I could also do it on TikTok. It's going to be incredible. I'm so excited. Will my guy get traded? Will he not? We'll wait and see. But the fireworks will be there regardless, especially how lit last one was with Luka getting traded.
Absolutely.
LaVine, all that stuff. So hopefully we get the same thing reciprocated. Hopefully my Bucks don't get fleeced, and hopefully we'll just wait to see. Hopefully we do get those fireworks. We need it, though. We can't have a week deadline. I think that'd be so weird. After all the hype.
And not for nothing, my little sneak move that could happen, AD gets traded. I could see AD getting traded.
Yeah.
On the sneak, on the low, last second kind of move. Didn't see it coming. AD out the door in Dallas. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I will love that. I really will love that. I think it'd be really good for him to go to a team that actually has contending aspirations. Maybe Boston makes sense for him. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be wild.
We'll just wait and see. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe here to JBM Sports Media. Follow us on TikTok and IG at JBM Sports Media. Until the next one, we'll see you guys later. Peace.